All right, today we're diving into one of the most powerful jobs on the planet, the President of the United States. We're going to explore what that power really means, where it actually comes from, and how it gets used in the real world.
So what really defines the power of a U.S. president? Especially after some pretty divisive presidencies, it's a question a lot of us are asking. Is it just a checklist of duties written down in some old document, or is it something more fluid, more personal, and maybe even a little unpredictable?
To really get a handle on this, we need to unpack what presidential power even is. Because as we're about to see, it is so much more than a job description. It's this dynamic, shifting mix of rules, personal beliefs, and just plain old real-world pressure.
Okay, so let's break this down. At its heart, presidential power is the authority of the executive branch. But, and this is the key part, that authority isn't static. It's constantly being shaped by four huge things: the original blueprint from the Constitution, the team the president builds around them, the president's own personal philosophy on power, and then its inevitable collision with reality. We're going to look at each one.
So let's start at the very beginning, the constitutional blueprint. You can think of this as the original source code for the presidency. It's the foundation that everything else is built on.
And that source code we're talking about? Well, it's Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. While other parts of the government get pages and pages, Article 2 lays out the functions of the entire executive branch, and it all starts with the president.
Now, what's laid out here is pretty powerful stuff. The president is the commander-in-chief, can grant pardons, and makes treaties, though, of course, they need the Senate's approval on that. Super important, the president gets to appoint their own team. But it's that last one, take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Wow, that single line, it has been the source of so much debate for centuries.
And that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, the president's team. Because let's be real, a president can't do any of this alone. They lead an entire branch of government. Their power is really exercised through the people they choose. Simply put, people are power.
And this is a perfect example, right from the get-go. Just look at George Washington's very first cabinet. He put his biggest political rivals, Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, into the most important jobs. He knew he needed their brainpower and their influence to get the new government off the ground. That's the appointment power in action.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint and we've got the team. But that leaves a massive question hanging in the air. How are you supposed to use that power? This has been a huge debate since day one, and it really boils down to two completely different ways of thinking. On one side, you've got William Howard Taft. His view is super strict, super limited. If the Constitution doesn't spell it out, the president can't do it. End of story. But then you have his predecessor, Theodore Roosevelt, who comes in with a totally different take, the stewardship view. He basically argued the exact opposite. The president can do anything the country needs as long as the Constitution doesn't specifically say they can't. I mean, these are two polar opposite ways of looking at the same job.
Think about that. This idea of the president as a steward of the people was a game changer. It completely reframes the job. It's not just about executing laws anymore. It's about being an active guardian of the nation, empowered to do whatever it takes. This philosophy absolutely expanded how people saw the power of the presidency.
So here's the thing. None of these pieces exists on its own. The real true power of the presidency is forged right at the point where that constitutional blueprint, the president's team, and their personal philosophy all collide with the one thing you can never plan for: reality.
Okay, so let's tie all these threads together. Presidential power, it always starts right here with the foundational document, the constitutional blueprint. This is the rule book. It gives us the specific powers, but it also puts a check on a president's ambitions. But, a blueprint is just paper. It needs people to bring it to life. That's where the president's team comes in. They are the engine, the entire network that turns constitutional words and a president's ideas into actual government action.
And what guides that whole engine, what sets the direction, it's the president's personal philosophy. You can think of it as the operating system for the entire administration. Whether they're a strict Taft or an expansive Roosevelt, that belief defines the boundaries for everything they do.
But at the end of the day, all the plans, all the people, all the philosophy, it gets tested, shaped, and ultimately defined by this final, unavoidable factor, its collision with reality. Because history, well, it doesn't really care about your plans. And we're talking about huge, history-making events here. A terrorist attack that rewrites national security overnight.
a global financial meltdown that demands action nobody's ever taken before. These are the moments that force a president's hand, often pushing them to stretch the very limits of their power, in ways that end up defining their entire legacy.
And all of this leaves us with a really big question to chew on. As the challenges we face as a country get more and more complex, which vision of the presidency is the future going to demand? Will it be the limited, strict construction of Taft, or the expansive, do-what's-necessary stewardship of Roosevelt? The answer to that is going to shape this country for a long, long time.